As you all know, listening skills play a very significant role, not only in the day-to-day life of us, but also in the aspects of professional development and educational empowerment of students. So, since ages, we have been, uh, like seeing that people have been speaking about listening skills and active listening skills a lot. So, today we have our resource person with us, Mrs. Meenu Kaur Chawla, who is about to give us few wonderful insights about inculcating active listening skills among the students. I'm sorry for my sound, but it's because of severe cold that I'm affected with. The stage is all yours, Meenu ma'am.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, everyone. Okay. I'm sorry because I'm sailing in the same boat. My throat is troubling a lot today. So, before we start the actual session, can I just, sir, can we stop screen sharing for just a minute? Just for a minute. Can I have a look on all the people? Like, can all of you please turn your cameras for a moment? There's just a small activity for all of us before we start with this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm really honored that when I said, and now this, I'm doing few things on purpose. Okay. That is, I would want to know about few of you who are attending this webinar. Okay. Can we start? Can we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Please start speaking.
Okay, myself, Rajeshri Gaikwad from Pune. I am a science teacher. I do teach for secondary, 9th and 10th standard science.
Mm-hmm. Okay, who's the next one to speak?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Who's the next one?
I can. Good
Sure.
evening, everyone. This is Tarang Chaudhary from New Delhi. I'm teaching in the Mothers International School for more than 3 decades. I'm a senior faculty member of the mathematics department, heading it right now and doing a lot of academic work or academic coordination in the department itself. I'm interested in many things beyond mathematics, although being a math teacher, everyone looks at me just as a math teacher. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else would Okay. Did anyone notice while two of you were speaking, I did something? Did you notice?
Yes,
Please let the cameras be turned on. That was on purpose. The thing which I did was on purpose. I
Yes,
just want
you were busy with your phone, and that showed that although you did ask us to speak, but you weren't paying attention.
And wonderful. That's one of the observations. There was second observation as well.
Ma'am, you were recording their talk, whatever they were saying.
No. I wasn't recording anything. I was disengaged completely. May I request Lata ma'am to please turn off the mic, ma'am? There's lots of background noise.
Meenu ma'am, unmute yourself.
Yes. So you know what? My gestures did not go. My body language, my eye contact, nothing made you people believe that I'm even listening to you. Am I right? Right? And two of you, I'm really sorry, Tarang ma'am, I did this to you and also to someone else, but that was on purpose, right? So this is, what listening is all about.
It's not a problem at all. Please don't apologize. We knew what you were doing. The aim was clear. So I guess it doesn't matter.
Thank you so much. Now, most of the time we do this. Today, in today's session, we'll be trying to identify how many unspoken mistakes we do let's talk about our body gestures. Let's talk about our eye contact. Let's talk about the respect which we reflect from the way we move our hands and the way we, it's separate. If I say I'm all ears, the title of my today's webinar is like I'm all ears. But let's take a reflection into this. Are we really all ears to the people who are talking to us? So this was just a small activity to ensure that, yes, everyone is at least all ears to me. I hope I am very clear with this objective and the aim, right? But and that doesn't mean that you all can turn off your cameras. Such beautiful faces I have. May I see some more faces, please? So now you can start sharing the screen. Marina, you want to say something? Okay. So today's webinar, as we have already had an introduction, it's all about I'm all ears. But let's get into depth. Do we actually hear what people say to us? Sir, next slide, please. Now, again, it's an activity. And there's, can you stop sharing for a minute more? Now, for this activity also, I would want all of you to turn on your cameras so that we can, engage with each other very beautifully. There's a line in the PPT which says, last year I met Shah Rukh Khan. Now, what each one has to do, one person, let's say Tarang ma'am, this is the first line for you. What is expected of you to add one more line to it and then pass it on to, you can name any of the participant, and the second, and each one has to add just one line to the story, one or max 2 lines, right?
Okay.
So we just frame a story out of it, but the catch is that each participant has to speak just one line, and with that line, you have to name out the other participant who's going to add on their narrative to it. Are we ready for this task?
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Tarang ma'am, please start.
Okay. Last year I met Shah Rukh Khan and renewed our friendship. I'm friends with Shah Rukh Khan. I mean, we have been friends in college.
Marina ma'am.
Marina ma'am, yes. Thank you. Pass it on to Marina ma'am.
When I saw him, I was very, very happy and I gave him a hug.
Marina ma'am, you have to name one more person.
Exactly.
Rajeshri ma'am.
Hello. When I saw him, I was
May I, ma'am?
Yeah, sure, please.
I ran towards him and asked for his autograph.
Wonderful.
hello.
Yes, ma'am. Please, Rajshri ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, I carried his gesture of love and politeness he had in him with me.
Okay. Anyone else would like to add? You have to name one participant, ma'am, who's going to add a line to it.
Ma'am, can I?
Sure, please, Lata ma'am.
Lata
Yes.
Kumari.
Yeah. When I saw him at the moment, I am just speechless at that moment.
Okay. Anyone else? Fine. So just tell me this one wrong thing in this narration part. What's that? Slight mistake in this narration part.
Continuity.
Sorry, Tarang ma'am. Can you say
Continuity of the story, ma'am.
Wonderful. And continuity of the story, was it like, were the thoughts in alignment with the person? Like if you initiated, then
Marina ma'am took over, and by the third person, I think Marina ma'am took my sentiment forward, but then it was
But
either
the
repeated
others-
or it went into another direction.
Yes, it got distorted. It was not in line with the story actually.
It wasn't making a story, it was just some thoughts that were added to that initial line.
Yes. In simplified word, if I say no, everyone was speaking their own narrative. We did not take the previous said thought into consideration before we added our line. Am I right?
Yes.
And don't you think so, my dear friends? This is what happens most of the time when we are engaged in conversation with someone else. The very first step which results or which leads to misunderstanding is this. I claim to be listening, but I am like, there is my own internal fable going on. There is my own narrative, which has taken complete control over me. And hence, I'm not able to connect with what is being said. Because most of the time, our focus is at the very subjective level, the words spoken by someone else, not behind. My network is not supporting. No worries, ma'am. No worries. No worries. No worries. So we can start the sharing again. Meanwhile, I'll communicate with all the participants. Right. So this is what we were talking about. What leads to misunderstanding is this. We claim to be listening to the other people, but actually we are so absorbed in our own narratives. We have so many internal fables going on, which, restricts us from actually listening to what the other person has to say. So let's try to bridge that gap, which is between our own narrative and to someone else's perspective. Next slide, please. Yes. Now, next slide. We'll just dwell a little deep into what actually is listening. It's not merely words spoken by one and, taken into ears by others. No, it's more than that. So what is more than that? We'll try to explore in the upcoming slides. Next slide, please, sir. Yes. Now I think we have had enough discussion on what is listening, what is active listening, and one or two tasks we did in order to understand what goes wrong when it comes to listening. Now, in this slide, we'll try to understand how many types of listenings are there. Now, empathetic listening, as the word itself says, when you are, see, there is yesterday, those who were present in the webinar yesterday, they know it very well. How do we travel the journey from being sympathetic to empathetic? So when I'm talking about empathetic learning, I am actually all ears. I'm not only able to connect with the words of someone else, but with the emotions of someone else. And when you feel that, excuse me for this, when you're actually able to feel the emotions of someone else, you are there to the core of that person. There was a very beautiful movie. I think it was named as, sorry, I'm not a movie person, still like, I think it was Dream Girl, featured, like Ashutosh Khurana was the lead in that. And if you all are remembered of it, he played the role of, of a man impersonating the voice of a female. He worked in this, what do you call it, as call center, and he would attend calls at night of all the people who felt like, aloof, avoided. Though the movie, I'm sorry for the things which I'm discussing, but you know what? Initially, I did not like the movie. I was like, come on, what is this? All nuisance put up in the form of a movie. This was my opinion when I started seeing the movie. But towards the end, there is a scene where he comes on the stage and he says, and the character which he played was named as Pooja. So towards the end, he gives the clarification, why did I choose this, or why did I agree to play the role of Pooja? Not because only I needed money, but because I realized that each one of us needs someone who can just listen to me. Everyone around us, we need a Pooja. And why am I saying like Pooja is a hypothetical name though? But the alignment of that character, the patient listening, understanding, nudging when you need, nodding when you agree, all these characters, when brought together, they produce a character like Pooja, which is the most important, the characteristic feature of what comes under empathetic listening. Moving ahead to comprehensive listening. Now, the first two elements, are one of the crucial elements of our classroom teaching and learning. We'll be talking, see, there is no denial. All the 4 forms of listening which are mentioned on this slide are equally important. But when it comes to build the connection with the children, we have to be very firm about, am I empathetic enough to understand or to read between the lines what is being said by my student? And then second, am I actually able to decode the message? Comprehensive listening, as the word itself says, comprehend means to understand, right? So most of the time when I'm focused on CV, I agree to this, that we all have that baggage, that invisible baggage, which we carry to our workplace. And then, because of the weight of that baggage, sometimes we are so engrossed, we are so, pissed off that though we try to be empathetic enough, but still we are not able to decode the message given by the student, or let's say one of our peers. When we just keep that baggage aside, at times it happens, no, when we come home and then we repent, my God, I shouted on that child for no obvious reason. I could have been a bit more patient, I could have been a little more understanding, but I don't know what took over me, but I refuse to understand that child. Now when we develop this ability to comprehend the emotion and not being focused only on the words being said by the child or by someone else, we have already come to that stage where we have entered into comprehensive listening, sorry. Now, it is comprehensive listening comes at the second place, because by the time you're not empathetic in terms of listening, we cannot comprehend, and thus we cannot reach to comprehensive listening. Now, once we have comprehended, then comes the third element. I can be appreciative only when I keep my internal fables, when I keep my invisible audience, when I keep my baggage, when I keep, my biased nature, everything aside, and then I look to someone else with this notion, yes, the person has some capability. Like yesterday only, I was discussing examples of one of the students of class 12 in my school. He is a commerce child, and he is that sort of a child who's the most misbehaved according to everyone, and not according to everyone, but yes, at times he argues, he does not listen, he does not want to study, he distracts the class, he does everything. But today only morning while I was going to school, I don't know, but somehow my thoughts, the loop went to Parth. His name is Parth. And then, I was thinking about multiple ways in which he is an asset to school. He's so caring, he's so empathetic that if he sees someone is in trouble, he would be the first one to reach and help that person, right? He's that caring that if he sees, okay, especially, I don't know, like we have a special bond. If he sees I'm in trouble, I'm not keeping well, so he'll be the most well-behaved child that day. And for these things, I appreciated him today in the class. And you all will be surprised when I told him, Parth, I was thinking of you in the morning while coming to school. So he was like, Ma'am, really? I said, yes. So he said, you must be thinking how to punish Parth. I said, no, I was thinking how to appreciate Parth. And trust me on this, next 35 minutes of my teaching were the most productive teaching minutes, including Parth's involvement into that learning. This is what the beauty of appreciative listening is. And we can reach to appreciative listening only and only when we are empathetic enough to understand it's the behavior, not the person who's at the wrong route. And then only we'll be able to develop comprehension, and only then we'll be able to appreciate. Now, once we have covered these 3 steps, critical listening is always welcomed. Trust me on this, we all are teachers by profession, and some of you might be working at the post of leaders also. I don't know how many, but yes, can I have some hand raises who are working at the post of coordinators and exam cell in charges, vice principals, HODs, anything, like who all are holding posts in any which ways? Can I get to see some hand raises? Because you'll be Tarang Chaudhary, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Wonderful. Fine. So it is, when we are at the leadership post, critical listening is something which is hated by people the most. And now we know the reason why, because we are missing on the first three discussed elements. When we have, got a good hold on the first three aspects or first three types of listening, the fourth listening is welcomed at all and welcomed completely, sorry. And for mastering this critical listening, we have to master critical appreciation aspect as well. It is very simple. There is a very famous poem, no? Mirror, mirror on the wall. And not like, if not mirror, mirror on the wall, we all have heard of that story of Snow White, no? Wherein the mother would stand in front of the mirror and who's the most beautiful? She wanted to get the same answer. Yes, you are the most beautiful, right? So this is what happens with us. I want to hear the echo of my narrative in someone else's speaking. So by the time I'm not ready to change my narrative, my internal narrative, my dictative nature, I will not be able to reach to this position where my critical listening and critical speaking both are welcomed at the same platform. So when you're listening to someone, do not listen only with this ability, oh my God, okay, fine, I have to find only the flaws in this. No. Yes, there are ways of mentioning the flaws in the people, and not flaws, but kind of you can call it as a difference between the expectations, let's call it like that. Let's call all of them as learners on the way, right? So there are so many learners on the way. Each day we meet, and when we listen to them, whenever they come up with their problem, like let's say a child who's not able to focus on in maths, so the very first thought which comes to our mind is, he's the one who bunks the classes the most. He's the one who would not want to join the assembly. He's the one who's never completing his maths notebook. He's the one who's tearing the diary just because the teachers write the note in this. There are so many thoughts which come to our mind when we listen to such children. And that is why we fail to identify what actually is the problem. So once we keep all those narratives aside and pay ears to the pain which that person is going through, half of the problem is solved. So I hope till here everything is clear. Can I get any sign of that? Yes, till now things are clear and we can move ahead. A hands up or a thumbs up, anything would work. Or you can unmute yourself and can ask. Thank you,
Yes,
Tarang ma'am.
ma'am, we can proceed.
Thank you, Rajshri ma'am. Sir, next slide, please. Now, what happens when we are actively engaged into listening? Remember that very first activity which we did. Thank you, Rebecca ma'am. The very first activity which we did, I was busy on my phone while you all were speaking. And when I'm engaged, when I'm completely engaged in myself, what do I miss? We all have seen that. But now, once if I keep everything aside, yes, scope of improvement can be told as positive criticism. Yes, Panita. Now, when we listen to understand, when you are into active listening, it's that listening when you're listening to understand. This is the time when our focus shifts from I to we. Slowly, we build strong relationship, we develop empathy, and once we all are, this is kind of a very beautiful rapport building. And once this rapport building is done, collaboration comes automatically. And where we have collaboration, conflicts cannot stay there for long. And where we do not have the conflicts, we build trust. So all the elements are interconnected to each other, starting from building empathy to understanding, then to appreciate, and then coming to the problem solving, resolving conflict. Most of the time when we are into resolving conflict, what goes wrong is we are listening only with the intent of answering someone else. Excuse me. We all are reactive in nature rather than being responsive. Okay, he's just about to come to that point, and here comes my answer. She is here with this point, here comes my answer. And this becomes really challenging, and the workplace becomes really toxic when this behavior comes from all of us. I am working as a senior coordinator, senior academic coordinator at Allen House Public School. And here, like, if I start behaving this, where I'm just trying to resolve the conflict without bringing the person into rapport or building collaboration, I'm going to fail multiple times. Trust me on this. I will not be able to resolve conflict. Rather, I will end up with my inner conflict, because then I won't be welcomed, and then I would be how hard I am working. I'm putting all my level best to bring in the best practices into school, to do this, to do that, but I'm failing to understand that I'm talking only about my demands. I'm ready to listen to the people who are in agreement, in alignment, in resonation with my demands. I'm not paying any ears to what the other person is demanding. How can I expect conflict to be resolved? How can I expect collaboration to be built? And without these things, how can I expect that I'm going to build the trust, or I've already won the trust of the people who are working with me? I never say you are working for me. Neither I'm working for anyone, nor any one of us sitting here is working for anyone. We all are working with each other, right? So this is what is the beauty of active listening all about. Can we move to the next slide, please, sir? Yes. Now, 8 listening skills, which we all should master, as we talked about. Fully present and attentive. Now, when I speak about be fully present and attentive, I'm talking at the physical level and mental level both. Sometimes we are so absorbed. So while, when we are listening to anyone, before we even start into the conversation where I have to be a listener and someone else has to be a speaker, come into receptive state. And how do I do that? I'll take a deep breath. I'll just, if it is required, I take 2 to 3 minutes before initiating the conversation. I'll either take 5 to 7 deep breaths, or I'll just focus. I'll build the connection with me so that I am in alignment. If my mind is somewhere else, my heart is someone else, my attention is on phone, I cannot be present with me. And if I'm not present with me, sorry, I cannot be present with someone else. So before starting or before getting into conversations, especially which you feel is going to, make a major change in life of someone else, before making big decisions, please ensure that you are in a fully alignment with yourself. We have spoken a lot about positive body language. Then sometimes, we all are too excited to share our idea. We do not even wait for the other person to finish. And at times I also do this, because this is, when we know something, and it happens in our classroom a lot. Ma'am, may I tell the answer? May I tell the answer? And then, oh, come on, let me finish. So, either we are too intervening or we are too judgmental. Both the things definitely hamper our decision making. Now, let's take an example into consideration. Okay, hypothetical situation. Can I get to see some faces, please? Just because it's a discussion. Because next, all the points which are over here, I would like to, sir, can we stop the screen sharing for a while, please? Thank you so much, sir. Yes, can I see some more faces? Thank you. Now, it's a hypothetical situation. Let's, talk about it. My question is to Lata ma'am. Okay, Lata ma'am? Can I ask you a question? Fine. Ma'am, today what happened when I went to my work, no, early in the morning, I met with some of the sullen faces, and no one was paying attention to what I was saying, and there's no one who actually listens to me. There is no one who's understanding enough to realize what am I going through. Ma'am, what should I be doing? Come on, actually there is no one who understands me. There's no one who's there to sympathize me with. Please help me with this situation, ma'am. What would be your answer?
Okay, someone came to me and he or she is having this situation.
I suppose I am your child. We both are conversing with each other, and this is my day. I began my day with a very negative, beginning, and I'm here, ma'am. No one is ready to understand me. No one really listens to me. Everyone is like, come on, she is the one to be. We should be opposing the most, and please help me with this, ma'am. Actually, there's no one who understands me. Please help me with this situation, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. In this situation, I will rather suggest first to calm down, be cool, and take deep breath, and just see what the situation is actually. Just analyze the situation, and according to the situation, we have to take the step.
No,
And
ma'am, you're not getting the problem. There's no one who's ready to listen to me, ma'am. Actually, I'm alone. Trust me, my family, my friends, and my colleagues at my workplace, no one is listening to me, ma'am. They are not in alignment with me. What should I do, ma'am? Keep my calm. Meanwhile, Lata ma'am is my internet is like no. Yes. So meanwhile, Lata ma'am is getting ready. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Sorry.
So in
Today
this,
there's lots
should I
of
say?
network disruption. Yes, yes. Please continue.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Should I
Yes.
answer for this?
Sure, sure, sure. Please.
Okay. In this case, you should be that is at that moment you tell the child that you are hello.
Yes, yes. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. You are
Hi, Akka. You
you
and Akka.
Virali, ma'am. We all can listen you. Please, we all can hear you. You can speak, ma'am. Sure, sure, Pooja, ma'am. Sure.
Yes, my point is that first of all, I would ask that person or you that, okay, tell me, calm down and tell me what is the problem. You are absolutely right. Nobody is listening you. Tell me, fine. What was exactly your problem is? How did you face this? Tell me. You are exactly, you are whatever you're saying, nobody is listening to you, nobody is favoring you or whatever. So just be patient and tell what is that problem is. Be a good listener. First of all, listen the problem. What is the problem is, and once you reach to that level of the person, what the person is facing, then only you can sort out the problem. So I think that would be the
May I?
approach.
Sure, Tarang, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Personally, I feel we are not there to solve the problem. I think the first thing is to just to listen to the no judgment, just listen, let them unload. And I'm sure while the person, if the person is talking too much, they will figure out a solution by themselves. We don't have to do much. It's just be there to listen. And before we start even listening, convince the child or you in this case that if no one is there, I am there. I am here to listen and actually listen. Don't only hear the person, actually sit down, give you time and time, energy, focus, everything to listen. Just listen. That's it.
Wonderful. I think Punita ma'am also wanted to answer. Punita ma'am, is it so? You want to answer?
Let Marina madam say something.
Yes,
first.
Marina.
Continue, Punita ma'am, please do.
I'm loving this interactive session a lot, by the way. Thank you so much for making this session so interactive.
Ma'am, I would listen to her, listen to your whatever you want to say, and then I will console you by saying that I am all there for you. You can always come to me for help, any help you want, and I will try to pacify.
Wonderful. Yes, Marina. Yes,
Ma'am,
Ashita.
if I face a situation like this where you come and tell me that nobody's listening to you and you are feeling aloof and alone, the first thing that this is my personal thinking. I'm not saying that everybody has the same thinking. I would like to know the reason why people are behaving like that with you. Sometimes the flaw is within us. We may be the type that we may be arrogant people, or we may be people that we may be a person that doesn't listen to other people's views. So this reflects in the other person's behavior also. Like, I need to change myself. I would ask the person that what is wrong, why did the situation arise, why do you think people are behaving like that, what is the reason? And if I feel that the person in front of the child, like you, for example, like we are taking your example right now, I would like to know what is the reason for the why people are behaving like this. If a change is needed in you, I would advocate that change. I would ask you to bring about a change, but at the same time I would say that I am there for you. If nobody is listening to you, you can always approach me. So I would go both ways. I would try to bring a change in you also. At the same time, I would try to be available for you also.
Thank you so much. I'm so overwhelmed by so many beautiful answers. Now, what if I say I have a quick hack for fixing this? How many of you would want to hear to that quick hack? Okay, no answers? No one wants to know that quick hack? Sure. Okay. Now, did you emphasize when I was talking about my problem? I was emphasizing no one is there to listen to me, ma'am. Trust me, no one listens, no one understands. The quick hack is whenever someone comes to us with this, where they are bent upon no one, no one, no one. You know, in NLP, we use a very beautiful therapy called as a filter therapy. In such cases, how do I deal with people is like, my questions will be, really, no one. Answer maybe, not actually, no one listens, not actually no one. There are just few who may be listening. Few, not actually few, probably some more people, only some. No, ma'am, sometimes it's my family which listens to me. Sometimes it's my friends who listen to me. I did nothing. I just applied filter. This is one of the most beautiful technique of NLP, wherein I am not going to speak anything, but just by repeating that statement on which, thank you so much, Pooja ma'am, on which the person is emphasizing, I am going through a lot of pain. You cannot understand my suffering. It's really unbearable. It's a lot for me to bear. Don't go into the complete conversation. Just pick up the crux of this. Lot, not lot, but some. Some, not much, but it is somewhat troubling me. Is it how now can I know how is it troubling you? Apply that filter first. You know, this filtration process is one of the most important thing which solves most of our communication problems. So all the rest of the points which were written in the slide, which I did not read, this particular activity is an answer to all those written points. Do I make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So can we have the look at the slides again, please? Fine. Anyone else would like to share something? Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Can we have a look at the next slide, please? Now, let us watch a small video on how to avoid miscommunication. Though we have discussed a lot about it, but still, in order to make a session a little more attentive, we can have a look at this video.
Have you ever talked with a friend about a problem, only to realize that he just doesn't seem to grasp why the issue is so important to you? Have you ever presented an idea to a group, and it's met with utter confusion? Or maybe you've been in an argument when the other person suddenly accuses you of not listening to what they're saying at all. What's going on here? The answer is miscommunication, and in some form or another, we've all experienced it. It can lead to confusion, animosity, misunderstanding, or even crashing a multi-million-dollar probe into the surface of Mars. The fact is, even when face-to-face with another person, in the very same room and speaking the same language, human communication is incredibly complex. But the good news is that a basic understanding of what happens when we communicate can help us prevent miscommunication. For decades, researchers have asked what happens when we communicate. One interpretation, called the transmission model, views communication as a message that moves directly from one person to another, similar to someone tossing a ball and walking away. But in reality, this simplistic model doesn't account for communication's complexity. Enter the transactional model, which acknowledges the many added challenges of communicating. With this model, it's more accurate to think of communication between people as a game of catch. As we communicate our message, we receive feedback from the other party. Through the transaction, we create meaning together. But from this exchange, further complications arise. It's not like the Star Trek universe, where some characters can Vulcan mind meld, fully sharing thoughts and feelings. As humans, we can't help but send and receive messages through our own subjective lenses. When communicating, one person expresses her interpretation of a message, and the person she's communicating with hears his own interpretation of that message. Our perceptual filters continually shift meanings and interpretations. Remember that game of catch? Imagine it with a lump of clay. As each person touches it, they shape it to fit their own unique perceptions based on any number of variables, like knowledge or past experience, age, race, gender, ethnicity, religion, or family background. Simultaneously, every person interprets the message they receive based on their relationship with the other person and their unique understanding of the semantics and connotations of the exact words being used. They could also be distracted by other stimuli, such as traffic or a growling stomach. Even emotion might cloud their understanding. And by adding more people into a conversation, each with their own subjectivities, the complexity of communication grows exponentially. So as the lump of clay goes back and forth from one person to another, reworked, reshaped, and always changing, it's no wonder our messages sometimes turn into a mush of miscommunication. But luckily, there are some simple practices that can help us all navigate our daily interactions for better communication. 1. Recognize that passive hearing and active listening are not the same. Engage actively with the verbal and nonverbal feedback of others and adjust your message to facilitate greater understanding. 2. Listen with your eyes and ears, as well as with your gut. Remember that communication is more than just words. 3. Take time to understand as you try to be understood. In the rush to express ourselves, it's easy to forget that communication is a two-way street. Be open to what the other person might say. And finally, 4, be aware of your personal perceptual filters. Elements of your experience, including your culture, community, and family, influence how you see the world. Say, this is how I see the problem, but how do you see it? Don't assume that your perception is the objective truth. That'll help you work towards sharing a dialogue with others to reach a common understanding together.
Can we please switch over to the next slide and then I'll communicate. Now see, when we were watching this video I chose on purpose. Reason being, there's a beautiful example of clay given. You know what I strongly believe, and not I strongly believe, but this is a scientific fact. We say that, you know, our thoughts are, they have plasticity. You know, when I say something has plasticity in it, that means it has the ability to be molded. But you know what? Rather than, I mean, if it is too tough a plastic, I won't be able to mold it. And if it is too flexible, I'm going to mold it again and again. This is what happens to the very first element, which either distorts or builds the ability to connect, and that is our thoughts. You know, how are we engaged in conversation? The video emphasized on, which we have already discussed, on our internal world. See, we have 5 sense organs through which we receive information. When this information goes, only a filtered part enters into our internal world. And once it enters there, it creates its own narrative. It creates its own internal audiences. It has its own complete different world where I'm the most, pain person. I'm the biggest sufferer in the world. I am the one who has gone through lots and lots of injustice. And whenever we are listening to someone else, there's a very common statement when someone comes and says, no, I hope everyone understands a little basic Hindi. Like if someone comes and says, क्या बताऊं मैं, मेरे साथ क्या चल रहा है? So if I'm like, मत पूछो, तुम जो बता रहे हो ना उससे डबल मेरे साथ हो रहा है. Without even getting to know what the person is going through, there I'm ready with my answer. Ki, listen, you don't come up with your pains because you don't know how much pain I am going through. This is what happens when we are not engaged actively in the conversation. Sir, can we have the screen sharing again? I guess there are some slides left. And then let's quickly move to the end of this session. Next slide, please, sir. Now, we have already discussed about the observations on the video. We talked about miscommunication. We spoke about conflict. We spoke about how at times we read between the lines, and that becomes the reason of the trouble, right? We do not validate point of view of other person. We are too engrossed in proving I am right, I am right, I am right. So these all are things which we need to keep aside when or if we are decided upon. I'm moving from passive listening to active listening. Next slide, please, sir. So here we come to the end of the session. Here is my link of my Instagram handle. If you people want to follow, you can follow. And now we can have a quick interaction. Sir, now we need to stop the screen sharing so that we all can have a little interaction about this session. Yes. So this was all from my side. All your opinions, all your views, all your, appreciation or points to be checked while I was presenting presentations, all are more than welcomed. I'm all ears.
Exactly the kind of sentiment that we need to share with our teachers and students, that I'm all ears. Basic. That's my one-line takeaway from this. Not that we don't do it, but to be reiterated again and again is always a good thing. Thank you. Thank you for an interesting session.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. I'm getting messages in the chat box as well, but thank you, Sartha ma'am. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing someone's name wrong. Please pardon me for that, right? Yes, feedbacks like these make my day. Seriously, these feedbacks make my day. Anyone else would like to share anything or has any question, please feel free to ask. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. And your certificates.
Yes, yes. And actually this training, I think we do need it frequently, because as a human being, what happens sometimes, we have to recall these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So training plays a very important role in teachers' life. That is, oftenly we should, have such trainings to regenerate ourselves. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Ma'am,
Yes.
if you could kindly give some light about, some throw light. Sorry. If you could kindly throw some light about the trainer session to everyone, please.
Sure, I'll do it, sir. Please give some rest to yourself. I'm there to help now. But before I do that, Pooja ma'am wanted to know a little about me, ma'am. I am Mrs. Meenukar Chawla. I'm working as a senior academic coordinator at Allen House Public School. I'm a certified NLP trainer. I'm a soft skills trainer. I am, a core member of SNTTC. I'm a certified author. I'm into counseling. And right now, I am very much into, this course of mine is pursuing, that is clinical psychology. So this is just a small introduction about me. And I have been associated with SNTTC for like now more than 8 months. And this is the platform where I found, see, we all are learned enough. There's no one who's not compatible or, competent enough to be putting things forward or sharing your learnings forward with people. But we all need a platform. And if you all are looking for at such platform, one platform, which helps you to ensure that your voice reaches to mass and whatever you want to convey, then this is the right platform. Ravi sir is here with the Train the Trainer program, wherein he prepares the future resource person. And if anyone who's interested can join the WhatsApp group. Oh my God, how can I be so fluent and sorted like you? That's a huge compliment, Pooja ma'am. But see, there's just one key, ma'am. Read and introspect. This is what I follow in my personal life. I am a no TV person. Trust me on this. When I say I'm a no TV person, I'm actually a no TV person. Whatever I get to hear sometimes from my students or this and that, most of my Instagram channel, it's named as, and I can write the name over here. You can go. It's all, the reading, which helps me a lot, and little bit, you can say, introspection. I hope this answers. Pooja ma'am? Sure, Lata ma'am, sure. I'm coming with the next session on 28th of
Yes,
September.
sure, ma'am. Actually, I was joining the WhatsApp group, so I was not finding out again how to be reconnected. Thank you so much. And it was wonderful to see you, to hear you, and to reconnect with you in future. I really hope.
Thank you. And like my upcoming session is on 28th, and it is resolving conflict at workplace. Those who want, they can, I'll be sharing the flyer very soon in all the WhatsApp group which we have. There are, I guess, 3 to 4 WhatsApp groups created by Ravi sir, wherein all the complete information about upcoming sessions are posted at at a regular level. So excuse me, you can be the part of those WhatsApp groups. And if want, I'm writing my contact number over here. So any help needed, I'm more than ready to help any one of you. Here is my contact number. If it helps. What is the criteria to be a resourceful person like you? See, the very first person is you need a mentor like Ravi sir. And then second is, yes, these all webinars are certified. If you want to receive your certificate, you have to pay a small amount of 50 rupees to Ravi sir. Ravi sir, if you can post that number on which they all can make the payments. Meanwhile, I'll answer Pooja ma'am's question. The very first requirement is a mentor like Ravi sir. And then second is, ma'am, your zeal and your, can we have a little interaction? But I would love to see the faces first. That boosts my morale. I have already made a content to be putting on my social media. We heard of this young girl who committed suicide today or yesterday. Did you hear about her? She couldn't bear the work stress which she was going through. How many of you did hear of her?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am,
It was
from
about
EY,
EY.
Ernst and Young, no? EY.
Yes.
Yes.
CA,
Yes,
she
ma'am.
was CA.
Yes. So now,
Chartered accountant from EY.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. This is the cruel fact of today's work scenario. I'm not saying that workplaces are toxic, but what is happening with the passage of time, we are not able to maintain that work-life balance. And that is the reason of unrest. That's the reason of, we come to that point where we feel, no, I cannot take it anymore. I cannot survive it anymore. But, my what do you call it as mantra of life is a little different. Once I'm home, Once I am decided this is my me time, I'm completely disconnected from media, except that print media, which is in my hand, that's a book. So the key is read as much as you can, research as much as you can. I'm that person. I mean, if someone comes and tells me, why do you, invest so much in buying books? Kindle is an option. So I'm like, no, I like the feel of book in my hand. So that's the thing, ma'am, which I guess is making different, has made difference in my life. And I'm really glad if that difference is reaching to any one of you sitting here. And yes, Ravi sir is always there. So if any one of you aspire to become a resource person, you can contact Ravi sir. Has already posted his number, I guess, and WhatsApp group invite also. So
Yes.
there you all can join. I'm sorry for the bad throat today. Anyone else would like to ask anything? Pooja ma'am, I hope I've answered all your questions.
Yes, yes. Thank you so very much. Thanks a lot. And I'm really lucky that I have attended this session and I've met with you and got the connection also, the number also, and joined the group also. So maybe I'll be in touch with you so that I'll also have that much thought process and the kind of aura you have that you are influencing so many people.
That's really a huge compliment. But ma'am, this admiration is mutual because I know it's the weekend and still I have 30 people sitting on screen and listening and all attentive. That says a lot how much dedicated you people are towards ensuring that, yes, you all want to make a change in your life. And that solves my purpose to be here.
Yes,
So
thank
shall
you
we
so
call
much.
it a day? Welcome, welcome. And thanks to each one of you who joined this webinar. And please wait for at least 24 hours. Your certificates will be released soon. But for that, you have to pay an amount of 50 rupees on the number which has been posted by Ravi sir in the group.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So before we wind up, I would like to appreciate the resource person of the day on behalf of SNTTC, Mrs. Meenu Kaur Chawla. And it's really wonderful to have the participants on daily basis, especially Samriti ma'am. If I start naming, I have nearly 20 to 25 participants who are attending on daily basis. It's really wonderful to have you all with us. That is one thing. And I would really urge, especially there are many senior, teachers here who have a vast experience, of 20 years, 25 years and all, who have to take up this, thing of becoming a resource person or a trainer. Because for the young generation, your inputs and few anecdotes of your experiences would really help them in becoming good teachers. Actually, globally, we are falling shortage of teachers as well as trainers. So in future, in near future, there is a lots of need for having teachers and trainers in schools. So that would be really good if each one of you can think about becoming a resource person so that we can spread this idea of being resourceful for the fraternity of teaching in the near future. So with this note, we will call it off a day. And yes, good night, everyone. We will see you all and meet you all again in the upcoming session. So tomorrow there is a session by me. Stay tuned. Yeah.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
you.
ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, each one of you.
Meenu, ma'am, you can just wait for a
Yes,
while.
yes.